The first time Daniel Harper's doorbell rang that Tuesday morning, he assumed it was the landscaper. The Crestwood Pines Homeowners Association enforced a rigid lawn care schedule. Tuesdays, 7:30 a.m. Sharp, or face a fine. Standing in his orderly kitchen with its maple cabinets and neatly arranged jars of chamomile tea, Daniel paused, listening. He heard shuffling on the porch, but no familiar hum of a leaf blower. The bell rang again, more insistent. A knot of unease tightened in his gut. Something wasn't right. In the 9 years since Daniel lost his sight, his Cervic dog, Scout, had become his lifeline, transforming a world of darkness into one he could navigate. Scout's harness hung by the back door, its handle molded to Daniel's grip. The dog's ears twitched at the sound of footsteps, but he stayed still. Scout was disciplined like that. When Daniel opened the door, he caught the faint scent of rose perfume, a signature of Margaret Ellis, the HOA's iron-fisted president. She was a stickler who treated an unsanctioned flower pot or a Saturday lawnmower like a personal affront. Behind her stood Daniel's neighbor, Ellen, her presence hesitant, like she'd been roped into this. "Daniel, good morning," Margaret said, her tone clipped. He nodded, steeling himself. No chat with Margaret was ever casual. He heard the rustle of papers in her hands, sharp and official. "Is there a problem?" he asked, hoping it was just a trivial matter, maybe a misplaced trash can or a new parking rule. Margaret cleared her throat. "We've received complaints about Scout." A chill ran through Daniel. Complaints about Scout? The dog rarely barked and was known for his steady demeanor, especially during Daniel's daily walks. "He's well-trained," Daniel said. "What's the issue?" Margaret paused. "A neighbor recorded a video. Scout barked at a delivery truck last week. We also have reports of him whining in the common area. It violates our community tranquility policy." Daniel's stomach dropped. "He's a Cervic dog. He's my eyes." Margaret's papers fluttered. Ellen spoke up, her voice soft. "The HOA held a special meeting. The board voted that ongoing noise, even from Cervic animals, isn't allowed. They're saying you need to remove him." Scout whimpered, as if sensing the tension. Daniel's anger and fear collided. "You can't ban a Cervic dog," he said, voice shaking. "It's against the ADA. It's illegal." Margaret's smile was cold. "We're reviewing the law, but we believe we can enforce our community standards. Other HOAs have done so successfully." Daniel forced calm into his voice. "Maybe they have, but that doesn't make it right." Ellen inhaled sharply, perhaps sympathetic but silent. "You have 15 days," Margaret continued, "to find an alternative arrangement for your dog. We suggest hiring an in-home aide for mobility." The door clicked shut. Daniel felt a lump in his throat. Scout nudged his leg, comforting. Daniel's fingers found the dog's soft fur, feeling the steady rhythm of Scout's breathing. Scout was his guide through grocery stores, crosswalks, and lonely nights. 15 days, Daniel muttered, eyes stinging. "They think I can replace you with a stranger?" He considered calling a lawyer, but his finances were tied. Disability benefits and freelance work narrating audiobooks didn't leave much for legal battles. The Crestwood Pines board had deep pockets and a legal team. Fighting them felt like facing a fortress with a twig. By noon, Daniel had read the HOA's letter in Braille, each word fueling his anxiety. The phrase, "unacceptable disturbance," mocked him. He recalled the day he got Scout from a nonprofit in Portland. The trainer had said, "This dog is your freedom." Scout made it true, enabling Daniel to travel, dine out, and volunteer. Now, the HOA demanded silence. The quiet of his cul-de-sac felt oppressive, a place where a single bark could spark outrage. Daniel inhaled, ran a hand through his graying hair, and decided he wouldn't surrender Scout without a fight. He called a local disability rights group, leaving a shaky voicemail. Sitting at his kitchen table, Scout's head in his lap, he whispered, "We'll get through this." Word spread among neighbors who cared. A few texted or cited, recognizing Scout's importance, but Crestwood Pines was mostly retirees and professionals who prized serenity like a trophy. Many shrugged, saying, "Rules are rules." The next day, Daniel strategized. No response came from the advocacy group. If he couldn't stop the HOA, he might need to rehome Scout temporarily, a gut-wrenching thought. That afternoon, his friend Tom arrived. Tom, a cheerful contractor in his 60s, lived in a relaxed neighborhood nearby, free of HOAs. Sensing Tom's warm grin, Daniel felt a flicker of hope. Tom helped draft a letter citing the Americans with Disabilities Act. "This is a slam dunk," Tom said. "They can't ban CRVYC dogs over a few barks." But Daniel recalled Margaret's confidence. She said they researched the law. What if they argue they're not a public entity or that noise rules apply on private property? Tom scoffed. "That's nonsense. Fairness is on your side. They just want a perfect, silent bubble." They sent the letter to the HOA's office, but days passed without a reply. Each sunrise felt like a countdown. Daniel grew withdrawn, avoiding walks with Scout, fearing a bark might give the HOA ammunition. On day 5, Daniel ventured out with Scout to buy groceries. The neighborhood was eerily still. No kids, no chatter, just distant traffic. The walkways were flawless, flower beds symmetrical, like a stage photo. Scout guided him to the store, pausing at a crosswalk. As they crossed, a car roared forward, tires screeching. Scout barked sharply, pulling Daniel back just in time. The car sped by, horn blaring. Daniel's heart raced. That bark had saved him. On a bench, catching his breath, he realized no one lingered outside in Crestwood Pines. The HOA's silence was deafening. Back home, Daniel's anger grew. Scout's bark was the difference between safety and injury, yet the HOA wanted it silenced. No legal advocates had called. Even Tom was stumped. Work narrating audiobooks kept Daniel focused, but dread crept in during pauses. By sundown, sitting on his porch with Scout, he sipped coffee, listening to cicadas. If nature's hum was allowed, why was a life of whining bark banned? "I'm not letting them take you," he told Scout. On day 8, disaster struck. Walking to the post office, Daniel's cane missed a loose pavement edge. He fell, pain shooting through his shoulder. "Scout," he gasped. The dog tried to brace him but couldn't. Scout barked a desperate, piercing sound. Then again, louder. A door slammed, and footsteps approached. "Are you okay?" a woman asked. "I'm Laura, from across the street." "I heard the dog." With her help, Daniel stood, bruised but intact. "That bark saved me a long wait," he said. Laura hesitated. "I'm sorry about the HOA. A CRVYC dog shouldn't be banned." She walked him to the corner, then vanished into the stillness. That evening, an email from the advocacy group crushed Daniel's hopes. They couldn't take his case due to a backlog. He'd need a private attorney he couldn't afford. 7 days remained. Daniel considered the media. Public pressure might work where legal aid failed. He wasn't one for attention, but Scout was worth it. "All this over a bark," he told Scout, "but that bark saved me." By day 11, whispers about Daniel's plight reached a local news station via a colleague's Facebook post. A journalist, Sophia Torres, interviewed Daniel on his porch. Despite self-consciousness about his cloudy eyes, he agreed to an on-camera segment. He described Scout's role and the fall. "If he hadn't barked, I might still be on that sidewalk," he said, voice trembling. "He's my lifeline, not noise." The story aired, sparking calls and texts from strangers, some outraged, others offering help. A lawyer, Rachel Nguyen, offered reduced-rate assistance, though it still strained Daniel's budget. On day 13, the HOA issued a final notice: remove Scout by the next business day or face $250 daily fines and a lien. Tom called it a bluff, but warned of financial ruin. Daniel considered moving, but refused to abandon his home, filled with memories. On day 14, he called Rachel, who took his case on contingency. "My mother was blind," she said. "I'll file an emergency injunction." That night, Daniel played jazz records, Scout by his side, clinging to hope. The next morning, Rachel called. A judge granted a temporary restraining order. The HOA couldn't remove Scout until a hearing in 3 weeks. Daniel buried his face in Scout's fur. "You're safe for now." But he knew the HOA might escalate, questioning Scout's legitimacy or exaggerating noise. Daniel gathered EVY Danke, neighbors' statements, training receipts, and Laura's account of the fall. At the hearing, the courthouse buzzed. Rachel guided Daniel through the tense atmosphere. The HOA's lawyer, Mr. Carver, presented complaints about Scout's chronic barking, arguing private property rights. Rachel countered with ADA guidelines and neighbor testimonies, emphasizing Scout's emergency barks. Daniel testified, heart pounding. "Scout barks rarely, but when he does, it's to protect me." Carver pressed. "Are you aware every bark violates policy?" Rachel objected, and the judge curbed Carver's line. After hours of arguments, The judge ruled, Mr. Harper's ADA rights take precedence. Scout's barking is incidental to his duties. The HOA must cease EVY tying efforts and fines. Rachel grinned. Laura cheered. Outside, reporters swarmed. Scout saved me, Daniel said. The law sees he's my lifeline. Back home, some neighbors glared, others nodded. Laura brought cookies, and Daniel laughed, tension easing. Scout licked his cheek. Calls poured in, friends, advocates, even a retired judge. Relief washed over Daniel. The HOA's enforced silence had lost. Sipping tea, Scout dozing nearby, Daniel reflected. The fight wasn't about noise, but his right to live fully. Outside, cicadas sang, and the quiet felt natural, a home where he and Scout belonged.